My next guest both claims to have witnessed some pretty sketchy behavior at polling locations in their states. Joining me now is Gordon Pennington, poll watcher in Michigan, and Angela Tahiliani, voter and resident in Maricopa County. Gordon, let's start with you. You say you saw a lot of suspicious activity in Michigan. The media says there's nothing to see, there's no fraud, let's move along. What can you tell us?
Laura, I became a poll challenger, an election challenger, and took the training from 2 weeks before the election because, like most citizens, I have taken for granted too long my freedoms, and the process that I've assumed has all the integrity you would expect from the election process. So the Election Integrity Fund offered training, and I said, I really need to see this firsthand. So after voting in my local precinct, I drove a little less than 2 hours to downtown Detroit, parked my car, got my certification, and went in and registered and got on the electoral polling and processing floor. And what I saw there at first looked very orderly and conventional. But as I looked more closely, I saw all the anomalies. I saw all the problems. And I saw in a room that's the size of maybe 2 or 3 football fields, it might be as large as 100,000 square feet, and an adequate number of people to witness what was going on in the adjudication of questionable ballots, of which there were many, thousands. And there weren't enough people, which is required by Michigan election law, one from each major party, to be there for witnessing and signing off on the duplication process. Well, there were many times where this process went on, the duplication process went on, without anybody being there to witness this. And I think citizens and people of the entire political spectrum would be concerned about this.
Well, what's the duplication process? Quickly explain that.
The duplication process is involved, in a number of examples where it's unclear what a ballot is indicating. So people look at it, they adjudicate it by determining what were the marks that were really meant to be here. Now, there shouldn't be people with marking pens on the floor at all. This should be done in a way that is not permanent and cannot be fraudulently applied. But think of the thousands and thousands and thousands of ballots. We had a team there of independents. Now, people always have their own ideological and political proclivities, but we were there as independents, and we wanted to see what was going on with the Republicans.
But you couldn't witness it. You couldn't witness it, Gordon, from where you were standing adequately. There weren't enough people, but it seemed to you that given all of that was happening in that huge space, you needed more people, or were you not allowed to get close enough? I'm trying to understand this. It's important.
It's both. And I think, and someone has said, in fact, I talked to many of the Democrats there, members of the ACLU and others, and we all agreed the Republicans were underrepresented, and that was their own responsibility.
That's the Republicans' fault. You can't blame the Democrats for that. That's the Republicans' fault.
Absolutely agreed.
Hold on a second. I got it to Angela. Angela, you told our producer there was an issue with how poll workers told you to fill in your own ballot. What happened there?
So here in Arizona, one of the biggest issues that we have right now is the use of a Sharpie pen that was used at the different polling places. On the Democrats' own website here in Arizona, they actually say, do not use red ink or permanent marker because this may result in a false read by the ballot machines. So that comes from their own website. So when we showed up to polling stations, they only gave us Sharpie markers. I specifically said, I don't want to use a Sharpie marker. Do you have a regular pen? She said, no, I only have a Sharpie marker. Use it. You're going to be fine. I said, what if it bleeds through to the other side? She said, don't worry about it. We've been doing it all day. It's not a big deal. So we went ahead and used Sharpie markers. You run it through the machine at the end. When you get done voting, you run it through the machine at the end. And then what happens in Arizona is you can go to this website to track your ballot. And from what I have seen, and it's not just me, it's like I have groups of neighbors and friends that as well this has happened to. But what happens is now when you go to check our ballot, it says that it is like for me personally, it says I'm not even a registered voter now. And a lot of people, it says that their ballot it hasn't been read, it hasn't been counted, it doesn't exist.
Okay, wait a second. And all those people behind you, did they have similar issues?
Yeah, these are my neighbors, yes.
Oh, all of you? Okay, so all of you were told to use a Sharpie. Now, the state AG said there's no problem. It's all going to work out, I guess. I mean, this has been kind of blown off, but it's on the state website that you're not supposed to use a permanent marker, and yet that's the only thing you're given. And we understand that Democrats were given actual pens, the other writing instruments that are allowed under the state law. That just seems really bizarre. I mean, is it a coincidence? I guess it can be all of this can be a coincidence. But I'm glad you're, I'm glad you're out there. Gordon, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 to 10, 10 being the most corrupt, how would you rate your polling station?
I think most of the people there were trying to do a good and honest job. They were generally congenial, but people get tired. They had a day and night shift. But the problem is the wholesale lack of chain of custody understanding. We pay more attention to the package we send by FedEx or UPS or Amazon, for heaven's sake, than our own balloting. Everybody should be concerned about this. And I'm glad I got to witness the problems there. But I don't think people are generally conspiring to do things illegitimately. But overall, it's easy to game this system, and it's like a shell game, and we need to pay closer attention to it.
At 100%. Gordon, Angela, great to see both of you. Thanks so much.